Welcome to my channel where spooky stories come alive. I'm Daisy, ready to read your chilling tales. Settle in, grab a snack, and let's begin. First, a letter from Jenna. Her family, from Colombia and Peru, deeply believed in spirits and the Catholic faith. Terrifying encounters shaped her view. Jenna prayed daily to avoid spiritual encounters. This story recounts two different experiences, one from her cousin's girlfriend, Sophia, and one from her father. Sophia, Jenna's cousin's girlfriend, grew up in a Mexican home rife with paranormal activity. Before university, she knew true terror. In Sophia's bedroom, a mirror held a secret. Every night, a man with a pitch-black, featureless face would silently watch her sleep. She never changed in that room. His gaze pierced anyone within. The silent, faceless specter was a constant, unnerving presence. One evening at 17, Sophia applied makeup as sunset painted the sky. Lights glowed within, blinds drawn against the encroaching darkness. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently. The faceless man materialized in the mirror's depths, his presence a chilling premonition. Before Sophia could react, a spectral hand reached through the glass. The mirror shattered, and the chilling grip began to strangle her. No sound escaped her throat, the lights danced frantically. In desperation, Sophia clutched her cross necklace, thrusting it toward the spirit. The man instantly recoiled, vanishing back into the mirror. The shattered glass magically reassembled, leaving the mirror intact as if nothing had occurred. When her family returned, Sophia recounted the terrifying events. To her horror, her mother admitted seeing the same faceless spirit. Soon after, Sophia moved to Colombia for university. She met Jenna's cousin there, and has not encountered any spirits since that day. Sophia finally shared her harrowing story with him. He promised eternal protection, continually praying over her, asserting Jesus' powerful name. Now, Jenna turns to her father's story. He grew up in a small village in Buda, Colombia, the middle child of 3 siblings. Their downstairs bathroom was notorious. Anyone entering would hear whispers, or glimpse a cloudy, human-like figure lurking within its shadows. Jenna's aunt, her dad's oldest sister, had a terrifying experience at 18. While showering, she felt an unsettling, watchful presence. Through the swirling steam, she swore a dark shape moved. She also owned a hair straightener that moved on its own, even unplugged. Once, the hot straightener flew towards her. After that, she stored it in her bedroom, avoiding the haunted bathroom entirely. Years later, Jenna's uncle, her dad's youngest brother, brought his first girlfriend home. They ventured into that same bathroom. Intimacy began to bloom. But as the uncle stepped out for towels, his girlfriend felt an unsettling sensation. She was being watched. Then she saw him, a man dressed in white, his feet facing backward, creeping toward her, his hand reaching out to touch her. She screamed in terror. Her uncle rushed back, towels in hand, and in a panic pointed his cross necklace at the spirit. The entity shrieked, then vanished. Shaken and terrified, they quickly dressed, choosing dinner over staying in that house. Eventually, Jenna's uncle became a flight attendant for Qatar Airways. He moved there with his girlfriend, now his wife, and their son. They now live in Melbourne, free from paranormal activity. They pray constantly, asking God to protect their family from such darkness. Whenever Jenna visited her abuela's house, something felt off, though she personally never saw or heard anything unsettling. After hearing her dad and cousin's stories, everything clicked. Jenna now understood. She's not afraid, knowing God's protection is absolute. The name of Jesus, she truly believes, holds more power than anyone or anything. Jenna finished, her faith unwavering. Next, a letter from Zay. Her experiences happened just a month ago, involving her mom, stepdad, little brother Xander, and herself. It began late one night, around 10:30, as Zay's parents played cards with friends. The doorbell rang unexpectedly. Her stepdad checked, but no one was there. Minutes later, it rang again. This time, her mom opened the door to an empty porch. She even waved her hand before the Ring camera. Strangely, her phone only then received a motion alert. The doorbell rang a few more times that night. They finally decided to end the night, unsettled by the unexplained occurrences. Days later, Zay's mom was home alone, late folding laundry. A growing sense of being watched prompted her to bring in their dog. Suddenly, the dog froze, staring intently at the TV. A moment later, the TV blared on at full volume, without a remote battery. Not long after, Zay lay in bed. Her mom entered, saying Zay's abuelita was staying, so Zay needed to make her bed. Too tired to turn, Zay simply nodded. She heard her mom begin removing pillows, then suddenly stop, asking, "What's this?" Zay, not knowing what she held, casually replied, "I don't know, probably Xander's." Her mom then left the room. Finishing her bed, Zay went to the kitchen. On the table, she saw it, a pendant with a satanic symbol. Freaked out, she asked, "What is that?" Her mom revealed she'd found it under Zay's pillow. As a religious family, they were terrified, not knowing its origin. Both her brother and boyfriend denied any knowledge. As they puzzled in the living room, the doorbell rang again outside. Her mom checked her phone, no motion detected. Her stepdad went outside, finding no one. This time, no notification confirmed activity. Finally, her brother Xander snapped, admitting he'd found the pendant outside and thought it a funny joke. He got into big trouble. They disposed of it immediately. Since then, the strange activity in their house has ceased completely. All was quiet once more. Another story from Adela. She lived with her uncle and aunt in a 4-room house that always felt spooky, ancient, and eerie. Spiderwebs clung to every corner. The whole place felt old, generations old, filled with an unsettling, lingering presence. Adela initially dismissed it as imagination. But one day, an incident proved her gut feeling was terrifyingly real. A lady moved into one room with her 2 kids, a 2-year-old girl and a baby boy. One day, she needed a babysitter for work. Adela's mom offered to watch them. The lady also needed a ride, so Adela's mom left for a quick 10-minute drive. As soon as her mom left, the little girl began crying. This startled Adela. She thought the children were asleep in the next room. Adela went to check, telling the girl to come lay with her. That's when things spiraled into profound strangeness. The little girl cried harder, clinging to Adela, terrified, trying to climb her as if escaping an unseen threat in the long hallway. Panicking, Adela grabbed the baby boy and fled back to her room, locking the door firmly behind them for safety. Once the girl calmed, Adela heard her own name called. "My mom's home," she thought, hoping for an explanation. But looking out the window, her mom's car wasn't there. Confused, she checked the garage, still no car. She was utterly alone. Then the little girl screamed again, pointing toward the corner of the creepy living room where a large window loomed. Through tears, she shrieked, "No, no, no." Screaming for her mom, she cried, "No, no, no. Muri, Muri, no, 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 woman there, woman there." Adela was so startled, so panicked. She simply grabbed the girl and fled back to her room, frozen for a split second, unable to move or speak. The next morning, the little girl woke with bruises on her hands, as if something had pulled her hard during the night. Adela told her mom everything. Her mom then admitted a terrifying truth. She too heard voices whispering their names in the hallway. Both sharing the name Adela, hearing their names whispered in the dark was absolutely chilling. The house truly held a sinister secret. Hello, Daisy. These experiences happened in different houses. First, in a small apartment with only 2 rooms. One room held her mom and brother, the other her sister and herself. One night around 2 or 3 a.m. her sister woke up. Footsteps and things moving around the room had roused her. Rolling over, she saw her sister, the narrator, standing beside her just staring. Half asleep, she told her to go to sleep. But the figure didn't answer, just stood silently watching. She kept telling her to go back to bed. Frustrated, she rolled toward the wall. That's when she froze. On her side of the bed, she saw her sister, sound asleep. Her body went cold. Whatever had stood beside her was not her sister. Terrified, she pulled the covers over her head, daring not to look back. This next story happened to her mom, as a little girl in Chihuahua, Mexico. She was a devout Christian, attending church regularly. One Sunday, upset with her parents, she chose to stay home alone instead. A decision she would soon regret. The house was silent, save for her dolls and an occasional passing car. Suddenly, creaking noises echoed behind her. She ignored it, but then it came again. Turning around, she saw something terrifying. A tall white figure with a black hood and cloak, holding a scythe. Exactly as people described La Muerta, death. Her mom froze in shock, paralyzed, unable to move, her face utterly pale. Finally snapping out of it, she ran as fast as possible to her aunt's house, several blocks away, desperate for safety. When she arrived, her aunt's face turned pale with horror. Her mom's skin, she said, was every color imaginable from fear. Her aunt had never seen anyone so terrified. Her mom stayed there until her parents returned, too scared to go home alone. Hi, Daisy. This story didn't happen to me but to my dad. It takes place in the same house where I've had my own experiences. When my dad was younger, his family had little money. He slept on the couch with his youngest brother, my uncle. Their parents shared a bedroom with the baby. At first, everything seemed normal, but that soon changed irrevocably. One night, my dad was sleeping when he heard banging and footsteps near the kitchen. He assumed it was his brother getting a snack. The noises continued, so he opened his eyes. His brother was still asleep, curled up at his feet. Not his brother. He thought perhaps his mom or dad. "Mama, Dad," he called out softly, "can you please be quiet? I'm trying to sleep." There was no answer. The noises didn't stop. Feeling uneasy, Dad got up, walking toward the kitchen to investigate. When he reached it, he froze. No one was there. The kitchen was empty, utterly devoid of any human presence. Freaking out, he bolted back to the couch, shaking his brother awake. He recounted what had just transpired. As he spoke, something caught his peripheral vision, movement near the room's corner. It was Christmas time, their tree stood there. What he saw next chilled him to the bone. The Christmas tree was floating, hovering about 4 inches off the ground. High enough to run a hand underneath. My dad stared, disbelieving, while my uncle, only 6, noticed the color drain from his brother's face. Curious, his uncle looked too, seeing it with his own eyes. To prove it wasn't imagination, Dad slowly approached, reaching out to touch it. That's when Uncle saw a white cloud-like shape dart from under the tree, rushing directly toward my dad. It went inside him. Uncle panicked, calling out, "Dave, Dave." No response. His dad turned slowly, his face white, blank, and lifeless. Absolutely terrified, Uncle ran straight into his parents' bedroom, diving into bed with them for safety. Grandma woke, asking, "What's wrong? Did you have a bad dream again?" But Uncle shook his head. "No, Dave scared me. Now I don't want to sleep in there." Thinking Dad was playing a prank, Grandma got up, heading for the living room. But as soon as she left her room, she froze. My dad stood completely still at the hallway's end, just staring, his face blank. "Dave, come here," she said firmly. "It's late and your dad has work. Stop playing pranks." Her voice trembled despite her efforts. Dad began to walk slowly towards her. When he reached her, she grabbed his arm and realized something was horribly wrong. His skin was ice cold, like he'd been in a freezer. In a panic, she yanked him into the bedroom, flipping on the light. His face was ghostly pale. She screamed for her husband, "Bobby, Bobby, wake up, something is wrong with our son." Grandpa jumped out of bed. The moment he saw my dad, he began freaking out. "What the hell is wrong with you, boy? Are you sick?" While Grandpa shook him, Grandma grabbed another blanket. They wrapped my dad up, desperately trying to get a reaction. Then, out of nowhere, Dad started coughing and choking violently. After terrifying moments, he stopped, gasping for air. He asked, "How did I end up here? I was just in the living room." He had no memory of the terrifying events. From that night, his grandparents made Dad and Uncle sleep on the floor in their room for safety. They never spoke of it again. Not until years later, when Dad was old enough to grasp the horror. This was just the first of many strange occurrences in that house. Hello, Daisy. I recently found your channel. It's comforting to know others believe in spirits, both good and bad. I firmly believe that messing with things not of this world can conjure entities that never truly leave. This story began with my mom's cancer diagnosis. 2 weeks before she passed, I brought her home to care for her in her final days. Hospice care was incredibly difficult. Not the caregiving, but slowly watching someone you love fade away. Hospice caregivers visited during the day. I gave medication around the clock. One night my mom struggled to sleep. I gave her a sleep aid. As she drifted off, I noticed her mumbling, talking in her sleep. Days before she passed, she woke asking, "When did you bring all the lights? There are so many bright lights in the room." "And one big light in the corner," she said. "It's so beautiful, but can you turn it off tonight so I could sleep?" Deep down, I knew what she was seeing, spirits. I'd felt their presence before. Still, I reassured her, promising to turn it off. A few days later, my mom passed away at 3 p.m. I immediately called my siblings to come say their final goodbyes. I felt two emotions: relief she was no longer in pain and heartbreak from losing her. Overwhelmed, I stepped outside for air. I live on a corner lot. My fence is only in the back with a side gate to the yard. When I stepped outside, things got strange. A huge black bird, like a raven, perched on the gate's fence. It let out the loudest, most piercing squawk I'd ever heard. It flapped its wings violently. What truly unsettled me was that no one else seemed to notice it, though my family walked past. The bird stayed, squawking and flapping, until my mom was taken away to the morgue. Its purpose seemed fulfilled. After the burial, I asked my siblings about the bird. They all looked confused, claiming they hadn't seen or heard anything. That's when an old saying surfaced: ravens carry souls to heaven. I'd never truly believed it until that precise, profound moment. Even after my mom passed, I felt her presence linger. She adored my son, and I believe she stayed for him in those early days. One night, my son kicked his blankets off while sleeping. Suddenly, I saw someone gently pull them back over him. There was no one else in the room. I knew it was my mom, still watching over him, keeping him safe and warm. My story ended. That was it for today's stories. That last story was difficult, my condolences. Thank you for opening up. Recounting these tales opens old wounds, and I know it's hard. I truly appreciate every story you send. Especially stories of death, hurt, and grief. I know they're difficult, but someone listening might find comfort or resonate with them. Even if not spooky, these stories matter. Grief is universal, and if these can make someone feel better, why not? Thank you for sharing your stories, for opening up. I appreciate you all so much. Send yours to daisyspooks@gmail.com. I hope you're all doing amazing. I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.